Welcome to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, the Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the power of nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with listeners like you.
In the house behind, the life you find is something understood. So there's love, those vital
A dream can be meaningful even if you don't know what it means. Today's new music is created fresh for you by Rick Cluffel.
Entitled Q2.
How do dreams enhance your emotional health? Meet psychiatrist Loma K Flowers, who will be talking about the value of feelings and how dreams can help you harness them to improve your life. I am your host, Katherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. I want to share a dream theme I've been having lately that I think is pertinent to what we're talking about today, having to do with the rear view mirror. I had twice in dreams in the last few weeks, rear view mirrors pop up. I'm driving and there's things in there, there's a rear view mirror, like putting things behind me. Is there a way that I can I'm learning to let go of things and put them behind me, put them in the rear view mirror. So just that little snippet I wanted to share with you all. And I had a big laugh when I first got the pun of the dream about the rear view mirror. And I hope so. I'm learning to put things in the rear view mirror. All right, now on to our guest, Dr. Flowers. Hello, Loma. So nice to have you on the show.
Hello, Katherine, and thank you for having me. It's very exciting for me to do my first podcast.
Your first podcast. I'm honored. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I did TV and radio before, but not the podcast.
Yes. Okay. Let me introduce you. Loma K. Flowers, MD, served as clinical professor of psychiatry at UCSF and was the first chairman of the board of the IASD in 1984. Dr. Flowers has many peer-reviewed articles addressing the application of dream exploration for healing mental health issues, including substance abuse and psychosomatic illnesses. She developed the Emotional Competence curriculum in 1994 that includes dreams as a powerful internal resource. And her book is called Catching Your Feelings: Skills to Direct the Power of Your Emotions into Constructive Action. And so good to have you on the show, Loma. Catching your feelings. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I was very good at ignoring my feelings for many, many years. And I think a lot of us learn that to some degree. So why don't you talk a little bit about the idea of emotional competence and what does that mean to be emotionally competent, to have emotional health?
Well, that's a huge question and one that I've spent 25, 30 years working on. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. In my view of matter, and this is sort of a personalized view, is that emotional health comes from the balance between your actions, your thinking, and your feelings, and your judgment. And managing all four of those at the same time is where the complexity comes in.
So we have thinking, feeling, judgment, and action. These are the four components.
Yes, all four. And for emotional competence, you need to do the feelings, the thinking, and the judgment before you act. It's doing the actions first and then thinking, oops, how's that going to work out? That's not as useful.
Measure twice, cut once, as someone famously said.
Yes, exactly, right. Because the measuring is the thinking. What are you cutting for, right?
Right.
And you want to check it, be sure you got it correctly. And then you want a judgment about how much cloth you've got, which way to put the cloth, all right, arrange it before you do the cut, even though you know what's generally what you want to do. Figure out the best way to do it to get the result you need. What's the best result you want for now and later? You could cut, say, one dress out of it, or one shirt out of the middle of the cloth. But what if you have enough cloth for two if you redesigned it in a different way? What's your best result for now? One shirt, later, two shirts.
That sounds so simple, but why is it so hard for people to actually, why do people make mistakes? Like,
well, I always say when I used to talk about dreams, I said the dream interview method, which has a similar kind of complexity, is as simple as tightrope walking. All you have to do is put one foot in front of the other, just stay on the rope. And it's the stay on the rope, keep the balance that gives you your emotional health. Emotional health isn't static. It's like physical health. It's not static. Some days you feel full of energy. Some days you're exhausted, right? Lots of factors go into that. How you manage that is the key. So your physical health can be overall excellent with good days and bad days. The same is true for the emotional health. The thing is, you don't want to go into a lot of sequence of bad days if you can avoid it. And you don't want to go far enough to get into physical illnesses or mental illness, again, if you can avoid it. I mean, we all get sooner related. It's not magic to stay healthy. A few people manage to get through, most of their life without problems. But most of us can expect to have some problem somewhere that we can't control.
Oh, there's so many variables. There's so many variables. There's the job, the relationships, the just cooking, nutrition, diet, health. There's a lot of choices that we all make every day. And a lot of them are very emotional. There's a lot of emotions involved in making choices. And I just want to share a little bit of my history with emotions is that I thought that I could ignore my emotions for much of my life. And even to the degree of ignoring physical pain, because I don't have time to deal with that. I'm not going to deal with that. I almost died of a ruptured appendix in 2005 because I thought, I don't need to pay attention to that. It's not important. And that led to that led to this. I've had a rupture, my appendix ruptured, and the doctor said it could have killed me. And so I learned very viscerally that why it's so important to pay attention to those sensations from the body, because there's emotions and then there's physical sensations, but there's a lot of overlap because excitement has a very distinct physical sensation. And so these sensations and emotions are all really important to pay attention to.
When people feel fear, they feel it in their stomach, then they feel it with the trembles, and all kinds of physical responses to emotions. And that's why I ended up writing an article on the application of a dream interview method to psychosomatic illness. Someone sent me a patient that he had real trouble getting his blood pressure under control. And he wondered if it was stress on his job, and the guy wouldn't do therapy. He didn't believe in it. But he would see me, even though I'm a psychiatrist who did therapy, because I would focus only on the dream work. That he could do. It was contained, and it was one thing. And yes, he had dreams, and he would do a brief session with that. So that's what we did. And he's one of the people that I included in the article, because we were able to get his medication down to half, and he went back to work without an excessive need, all a result of the dream work, because all the issues done by the dream interview method were in the dream, and he could then consciously think about, so how do I want to handle this? Thinking, feeling, good judgment before action.
And so how did the dreams help? Do you want to maybe can you give some examples of what kind of dreams are helpful, and maybe either from this case?
Any dream could be helpful. I don't know whether you're up to your own dream, but when you said about, you're trying to put things behind you and put them in the rearview mirror, and I'm thinking to myself, if I was going to do a dream interview on that,
yes,
I would ask Katherine, are you up to this?
Yes, I'm totally up to it.
One of our rules for dream interviewing in public is to say, if you understand something and you don't want to say it, just say that. Don't just say, oh, no, I have no idea what it means, when you know exactly what it means, but you have no intention of sharing it.
Which is totally legitimate. If I don't want to share, I don't have to share it.
Exactly, right. Okay. And you can just say, oh, yes, I get that. Let's move on.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the dream interview method. This is something that you and Gail Delaney pioneered. And do you want to say anything about the method before we go dive into this?
If you'd like, yeah, I can. Well, let me just do the method with you for a minute, because it's more interesting that way.
Perfect.
People often, it's like learning recipes to cook. You need to do it a number of times before it even makes sense, and then you can't remember it. I'm still looking up recipes I've made for 50 years, because you forget. So let me just give a little demonstration about how it would work. So you told me that you told us all you had a dream. You've been looking rearview mirrors in your dream. So in general, with the dream interview method, you pick one of those dreams.
Okay.
Just because this is a demonstration of one image, this is the way we do one image. So I would say, I'm a Martian. It's Gail's way of doing that. I know nothing, right? I'm a Martian. What's a rearview mirror?
What was the last bit?
And why do humans have rearview mirrors? What are they for? What do they do?
So a rear view mirror is something that's part of my car. And so it helps me keep safe while I'm driving, so I know what's all around me. And particularly, it helps me find out what's behind me. So I can see a car behind me for safety in case it's getting too close to me. It's also extremely helpful in backing up. In one of the images, the dream, I was actually using the rearview mirror to back up. And it's vital then to help me go backwards safely.
Okay. So if I were to summarize that, how do you feel about rearview mirrors? About that?
Oh, they're really useful. It was interesting with specifically the rearview mirror, not like backup camera like most of us have these days. It was specifically the mirror. And there are some circumstances where I use my mirror still instead of the camera. They're very helpful. I think they're great.
And what circumstance would you use the mirror rather than the camera? Where is it better?
If I'm going down the, like when I'm backing up around a corner, I find it's easier to keep track, like I do every day when I get my mailbox, go to my mailbox and then I back up to away. I can see better along the side if I'm backing up around a corner.
Okay, so it gives you a wider vision or more specific, precise vision?
Yeah, it's more precise because I'm thinking the side view mirror, but the dream was the rear view mirror. So let me answer that question. It's more accurate because both dream images. The side view mirror
goes back too, right?
The side view mirror also helps me go backward. That's the one I use more than the rear view mirror as opposed to the side view. So,
in the rear view mirror, then what's special about that? Unique about the rear view mirror? What would distinguish it from a side view mirror?
It helps. It's more balanced. It can see both sides of the road. Yes.
All right. So you've given me what it is, what its function is, and you like them, that they're very useful. Okay. So then I would say to you, is there anywhere in your life where you are backing up and you are grateful for and use the ability to see both sides as you go backwards to achieve what it is you're achieving, to get where you want to go at the moment?
There's something about relationships and talking to people not super close to me, but I had an interaction where somebody was really rude to me on text, through text. And it's not somebody I know personally, it's like a service person. And I was quite put out. I was quite insulted, but I didn't want to get caught up in that feeling. And so I just decided to not respond to what he'd said. And I instead said, I hope you have a better day. Apparently he was having a bad day and he was making me have a bad day, but I didn't want to have a bad day. So I wanted to put that relationship in the rearview mirror. I didn't want to be obsessing over that moment. And it seemed like it worked pretty well. Like the rest of the day, it came up once or twice in my mind, and I shared it with my partner, and I'm sharing with you guys now. But for the most part, I feel that I didn't ruminate over being insulted, being called a rude name, which I might have before. So maybe it's kind of a confirmation of that I'm kind of getting the skill of letting things go.
Yep. I think that really is an important step. And I think also, though, if you were to do the emotional competence approach to those feelings, right? The person was rude to you, I think you said, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
I was like,
in the old days, if you had said something, would you have gone and told him off, insulted him back?
I definitely had wanted to. My feelings were intense. I had this big rush of like anger and hurt. And I did say one slightly snarky thing to him, but I think it wasn't nearly as intense as what he said to me. And then I was like, whoa, I don't want to go there.
Okay. So now, if you took a minute now for your emotional health and said, okay, this guy's rude to me, I want to deal with it. How am I going to deal with it? In some way or other. And what comes to mind, this is not something you would do in the dreaming method. So time out for a minute as we stop.
Okay.
Because I was out, Gail is marvelous at this. Gail, the lady, the woman whose dream interview method this is, and she taught me how to do it. And then we worked together for a while as Delaney and Clouds for about 3 years, I think. Anyway, when we were at a restaurant one time and a rude, snarky, slamming things on the table type waiter was there. And Gail did her Gail number that only Gail can do is, have I offended you in some way? She said to him. The guy was totally taken aback. I said, no. And he was fantastic in terms of his behavior ever since. Right? So the thinking is, I'm not going to put up with this. That would be Gail's thinking, right? I'm not going to tolerate this kind of behavior. It's unnecessary, and I don't want it to ruin my day.
Yeah.
The feeling was, this is intolerable, and I'm not going to tolerate it. And the judgment was, if I attack him, he'll get worse, or he won't know what to do with it, or he'll get in trouble with his boss and get fired or something. And she didn't want all that escalation and stuff. Therefore, how can I address this? And what she addressed was, your behavior is inappropriate to me, given our relationship of the moment. What she said is, have I offended you? Knowing full well she hadn't done anything at come in and sit down at the table, didn't even ask for him, he's assigned by somebody else, right? So that is one way that you could sort of take all those feelings and then the communication skills, which again is part of emotional competence. How do you present an idea to somebody? Your behavior to me is totally inappropriate given the circumstances in our relationship. Can you change it in such a way that we can have a pleasant encounter? I mean, that's really what you're asking. But you can't say all of that. It's just too many words and people aren't, they want to hear what you want to eat and go to the kitchen. They don't want to get into the psychobabble, as some people would call it, about what's going on. So you can't do the long kind of conversation unless it's somebody who can compute that stuff quickly.
Well, and also I was thinking that someone that you're in a personal relationship with, then it's definitely worth taking the time to say those things and share how it felt. But since I was not in a personal relationship with this guy, I'm just like, I'm not going to talk to him anymore. I don't have to.
And I'm saying that there's a whole lot of gray zone there where it's worth the practice. Because you're not in a relationship, you've got nothing to lose. Practice on the small stuff is my way of it. And this is a small thing, right? Because you can put it behind you.
Right.
But instead of putting it behind you, use it to practice better care of your emotional health, which is, this fellow offended me. I need to let him know, and I need to get him to stop it.
Right. Right.
I mean, you could say, would you be kind to me today on this interaction? I would appreciate it if you'd really be kind to me in this. I mean, I don't know how that would work, right? Depends on who you're talking to. They, and they don't get it.
Right? I think I have to look for the next small situation. I think this one's over.
Oh, yes. No, I wouldn't go back. No need to.
Yeah.
But there's hundreds of them, usually, right?
Totally. This is really helpful. And I love your ideas of practicing on the small stuff, in terms of this emotional health, and that this is an opportunity when they're not intimate relationship, then we can practice.
Yes. And I would say rehearse. The other one part is rehearse for the big stuff. If it's somebody you do care about, then out comes the journal, which is another emotional health skill. And these are things I describe in the book that you mentioned, Catching Your Feeling. So journaling facts and feelings as two different columns really helps you sort out, what did he actually say? Because sometimes when you write down what they actually said, it wasn't so much what they said as how they said it that was.
But that's part of the facts, but it's more subjective.
That's right. But it's important for you to see that for yourself as you're saying, so why was I insulted? Right? Sometimes it's a condescending manner and they treat you as if you're an idiot. Not
Right.
that you don't know anything about what their specialty is, but that you're an idiot in addition to not knowing.
Right. So you have your journal, you write down facts in one column and feelings in the other, and then what do you
Things, and inside on the feelings column also is opinions, hypotheses, ideas. Well, I think it might be this, though I think it might be as a fact too. But sometimes it's just that, oh, he's an idiot. So,
Right.
is he an idiot or isn't he an idiot? You don't know. So that's not a fact. That's an opinion. So he's an idiot goes in the opinion column, right? Or he's nuts. All the kinds of things that we think when we're furious and so forth.
Okay, so like feelings and opinions would be in one column.
Yes, that's right.
Your opinions, yeah.
And conjectures,
Okay.
things that you imagine are true. And then the facts in the other, and line them up. Because often people have them all, but they don't link, oh, the reason I feel angry at this person is because of this action, not that action. They did these 10 things, and the only thing that made me angry was this one thing. So that one thing is the only thing you have to address.
Okay.
But often, something happens and you're mad at the whole, how it exaggerates and explodes like that.
Right. Okay. That's really helpful. I'm gonna think about that and maybe try that out next time. Practicing on the small situations.
All right. And rehearse for the big ones.
And rehearse for the big ones. Okay, that's great. Very complimentary ideas here. I'm wondering, so these are all things to do that will help us with our action, because it's our action in the world that is really the most important thing, because we think what we think, we feel what we feel, but then judgment becomes like a question of choices and then the action. And so there could be a lot of processing and the thinking, feeling, judging before an action happens.
That's right. And the judging is key because good judgment keeps you out of an enormous amount of trouble. And constructive action, which of course is the skills, is to avoid the destructive actions that happen when you don't use these skills. And you can start things that you have no idea how they're going to escalate and blow up, right? And I only did this, and then look what happened, right? But you in order to avoid that, you do good judgment. And when I did my list of good judgment, one of my colleagues said, oh, that's risk assessment. Basically, good judgment is risk assessment. I have a list of 10 things in the book that you do. Basically, hope for the best and plan for the worst.
Yes.
Don't just hope for the best and dive in.
Hope for the best and plan for the worst. That sounds like a good advice as well. So there's a way that I've over time, since my ruptured appendix and all that I've like really been learning to pay more attention to my feelings and my intuitions. And yet there's something I always call the safety check. It sounds like the judgment, this idea of the risk assessment. Like, yeah, I kind of have this intuition. I want to go do that. But let me also back up and check the judgment and like check the consequences. Like you talked about the shirt, like you could do 2 shirts out of a stretch of cloth if you plan ahead. And so having a safety check, risk assessment is extremely useful.
Yeah, I mentioned it in the book that and I want to give the guys and one gal credit, is I taught this with a couple of colleagues, psychologists, both of them, at the San Francisco County Jail when Mike Hennessy was sheriff and in charge of the jail. And they had a program then for a charter school for anybody wanting to get a college high school diploma while they were in jail. Right. So this was a selected group of inmates who were coming to that school, and they said, oh, well, this would be great for them to learn emotional competence skills. So then we went there and did workshops for that as part of a nonprofit that I ran for almost 20 years, Equilibrium Dynamics. So while we were there, we did the good judgment, because of course they're all in jail, so one wonders about their judgment. Right?
Yes.
They're in the jail in the first place. And clearly they wanted better because they were willing to do high school as grown-ups while they were there serving their time. So when I did that, I could see, as I was talking about plan for the best, but I could see that they were, it was going over their heads, and I wasn't reaching them. And that to me is the fascinating thing about teaching is everybody learns differently. So, you have to teach the way they learn. And I'd been teaching medical students, right? Medical students, we went through the list. They got it, because I was medical school, lots of lists and memorization and all that stuff. So I said, okay, guys, what would you do in this circumstance? They gave me every type of bad judgment you could ever want. Any type of, we started to laugh as a group, all of us, right? And so I have a list of 10 bad judgments, but don't do these.
Like what? Can you give me an example of some of the bad judgments that you came up with?
Yeah, they would just do something with no thought of the consequence, right? They just, impulsive. I want to do this, so I'm going to do that. I need more money. I'm going to rob the corner store. I mean, what else would I consider? Then you end up in jail, right? It's that kind of stuff, right? Or you use drugs and now you're selling drugs and you get caught. Duh, right? That kind of stuff is known to end badly. Let me put it that way.
Right.
Well, when you're doing something reckless or not considered, and the other thing was they knew what they were doing was destructive. Doing something and knowing better at the same time and doing it anyway.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Knowing better and doing it anyway. Mm-hmm.
That's right. And that's often when people are smart, because emotional health is not a matter of intelligence. Intelligence always helps you, but it's not the be all and end all that it often gets touted to be. What's more useful is the ability to manage the four things: the thinking, the feeling, the judgment, and the action, in order for you to stay out of trouble and to enhance your life, to have things happen that you want to happen, to enjoy things. That's fun. Hang out on a podcast with somebody and talk about things you always want to talk about and your friends are tired of hearing it. Perfect.
Excellent. Thank you so much. This is fabulous. So this is Dr. Loma Flowers, and we're talking about emotional health and how dreams help with that. I want to let you know that her book is called Catching Your Feelings, Skills to Direct the Power of Your Emotions into Constructive Action. The Dream Journal is broadcast live from the KSQD studios in Santa Cruz and co-broadcast live in San Jose by KCXU and up at KOWS in Sonoma. We are podcast everywhere. I'm excited to share that most of my episodes are now available in full-length video. You can find them on Spotify and also on my YouTube page at Experiential Dream Work. We will be right back. Listening to the Dream Journal, and I am Katherine Bell of Experiential Dream Work. I'd like to send out a special welcome to our far-flung listeners. Today we have Santa Cruz, Boulder Creek, San Jose, Sunnyvale, Belmont, Pleasanton, San Francisco, Fresno, Citrus Heights, Toronto. Oh no, that's Canadian. Okay, never mind. Here we go. Oregon. We also have Boardman, Oregon, Surrey, British Columbia, Gainesville, Florida, Toronto, Canada, Ashburn, Virginia, Allentown, Pennsylvania, Quebec, in Canada, New York, and we have Great Britain. We have a listener from Moscow. Welcome, Moscow. And another listener from Hungary. So this is a truly international audience today. Welcome to the Dream Journal. You can see that people all over the world are interested in dreams. And after all, everybody dreams. If you want to help us nudge the algorithm to spread interest in paying attention to those dreams, please subscribe to the Dream Journal on your favorite podcast app. Thank you for your generous ratings and reviews on all the different platforms. Thank you so much for sharing episodes on your social media. It really helps. But really, most importantly, I'm interested in having people talk to their friends about dreams. You might just find your next dream sharing buddy. Next week, we'll hear from Lana Nasser, a beekeeper, who says that dreams teach us how to dance with our demons. And today's guest is Loma K. Flowers, who's a psychiatrist in San Francisco. And I think I've neglected to mention so far that you are the keynote for the upcoming IASD conference in Ashland, Oregon in June. And you are one of our featured keynotes. We'll be talking about emotional health, I imagine. What's your plan for that, Loma?
A similar look as we're talking today, only this is more of an overview. And since it's a dream conference, I'll focus more on the role of dreams leading to the insights that you need to really understand the complexity of your feelings. We were talking about journaling them earlier, but when you dream about them, often some of the work that you have to do of putting together the thinking, the feelings, and the judgment and the action will be already done for you in the dream. Particularly using the dream interview method. It leads you to I fancifully call it an emotional MRI of whatever the issue is. We didn't have MRI when I first learned about dreams, so we didn't have the metaphor, right? So I have to use it because they're an amazing step up from X-rays.
Okay. And so late, interesting the idea that dreams are kind of an emotional insight into what's going on that we don't always have with our waking minds.
Right. Yeah, they often will. The first paper I ever wrote, as a result of a talk I gave at the ASD meeting that was in Toronto. That was before it got the I for the international. It was just the Association for the Study of Dreams when Gail Delaney founded it here in San Francisco. But anyway, on that paper, I called it a pragmatist approach, dream interviewing, a pragmatist approach to dreams. Because I'm a pragmatic psychiatrist. I did years of psychotherapy, and I always told patients who asked me if I would see them is, I'm a pragmatic psychiatrist, I'm goal-oriented, I need to know what it is you want to accomplish with your therapy. I don't want to just meander through the woods looking at issues. One of my professors called it an archaeological expedition into your past. I don't want to do that. I want you to know what you want when you come in, and or not, take the first few months of therapy to figure out what it is that you want, and then go for it, which is practical. It's very practical. And a lot of people don't like that. They prefer to be able to muse and to think and to contemplate. Which is perfectly legit. If that's who you are and that's what you want, that's great. I wasn't the therapist for you. So dream interviewing suited me to the T because it had that capacity for an exquisitely precise, goal-oriented action. And the dream would lay it out for you, like yours. Yours was, you need both sides, right? You've got the side where you contain your feelings and don't act out or act up, right? And
too much of that.
Blast somebody back when they blast you. But the other half is how to deal with the feelings nonetheless, and not just warehouse them, is the word I use, or put them in the closet, hide them in the closet.
Because then they come out in appropriate times. They come out.
Exactly. The closet gets full and the doors bulge and it's all.
Yes.
And so while it's in there, it can destroy your body. And you don't want it destroying your body.
I bet. So we have a Max here in the studio, but we also have a phone caller. So let's go with the phone caller. It's Dr. Joyce King on the phone. So please say hello.
Hello, Dr. Flowers. I wanted to give a personal testimony to the effectiveness of your method, and to say that you've encouraged me to go back to my dreams again after all these years. And I'm one of Dr. Loma's friends who is not tired of hearing her talk about the dream method. And I want to thank you for your clarity.
Oh, thank you so much for making that testimonial. I really appreciate you calling in. Dr. King, I wonder if could you tell us where you're calling from?
I'm calling from Brooklyn, New York, but I live in Atlanta and in New York sometimes. So today I'm calling from New York.
From New York. Oh, good. And I wondered, do you want to share with our listeners some of your experiences with Loma Flowers, or how dreams have helped you? We'd love to hear a little bit about your personal journeys.
I have many dream books that I've recorded over the years, but I haven't done a dream analysis, let's say in the last 4 or 5 years, but a few years ago when I was I needed to decide whether I would have a major surgery. And I was talking to Dr. Flowers about it, and she said, well, why don't you do a dream? Go into your dreams and make your decisions that way. And I did. And I got a beautiful dream that helped me decide whether to have my surgery and solve some other problems. So it's a very practical method that helps you live better and manage your feelings and your relations with other people. So I'm a witness, and I just want to thank her for her work.
Thank you. I love that.
Thank you, Joyce. I love that too. That's very kind of you.
Oh.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your podcast.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's wonderful. So, Max, you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I was listening to you all this time here, and I'm going like, this lady is doing nothing but speaking common sense and stuff that makes sense, which is so unique for this venue for us, and so clear. It's great to hear this, because it gives you a little bit of hope that if you can follow something that follows logically or with reason, then you can actually muddle through a situation if you have it.
Thank you. I mean, that's one of my goals in doing this at this stage in life, is that I think that we could use a little bit more emotional competence in everyday life, everywhere in our country for sure, and I think other countries as well. And that if people are interested, I no longer proselytize for people who aren't interested, but those who are interested in learning a bit more, that's what my goal is. And that's why I have an email address in the book for people who have questions and want to follow up. Because I think a lot of people would use more if they knew how to do it without a lot of kerfuffle, you know?
Yeah, we are really taught how to pay attention to our emotions and how to use the emotions. Because like in school, they say like, keep your emotions down, like don't pay attention to your emotions. And you're really talking about how to catch your feelings, how to actually encourage them.
And incorporate them and integrate them and eventually systematize the big four, as I call it, thinking, feeling, judgment, systematize them to work together synergistically. Because that's when the magic happens, and I love the magic.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to get it every day, but the fact that you can get it is wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I love the fact that people can internalize it and use themselves, which is great for everybody's ego and everybody's abilities and everybody's, just ability to deal with life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And deal constructively with life. I mean, everybody deals with life in some way or other, but some people are just so destructive, it makes you weep.
You think this is so interesting about our culture that really does not value emotions, that, their emotions are kind of often seen as a weakness. And I wonder what that is all about.
Here, my background shows I was born in Ohio, but I moved to England when I was 5 and did all my elementary, high school stuff in England. So this British stiff upper lip is a standard. I think America adopted as their mainstream behavior.
Yeah.
And when we developed as a country, 200, 300 years ago, right? So I think that's where it comes from. I think it's a cultural thing. Mm-hmm. And other countries have different ways of managing feelings. All of them have their downsides because feelings have their downside. When you're enraged, you're enraged and it leads to a huge impulse to do destructively.
Oh, it's really hard to think. Very hard to engage by thinking so.
That's right. And that's why the first step in my feeling management protocol is time out. Disengage the body, put the car in neutral, then you rev the accelerator, jam the brake, and nothing happens. You don't damage anything, right? And in that time, when you're in neutral, think, feel, and do harmless things for feeling. I remember they used to have styrofoam swords on the psychiatric inpatient unit for people to practice being enraged and harmless at the same time, right? I don't know. That's probably long gone. That was in,
Well, there was a thing of punching pillows for a long time. That was the kind of thing.
That's right.
But I think these days they don't see that that's an advantage of actually making more emotion when you already have a lot of emotion.
That's not the end, right? If you do that to discharge the high adrenaline level of rage, then people calm down enough that they can then you time out and think, time out and do the physical stuff. Some people go work out in the gym and get their rage off that way. But then you do the journaling. Then you do what were the facts and what were their feelings, every single feeling. And the feelings on grades. People often will say they're frustrated because we're not allowed to say we're enraged and feeling homicidal. That's not done. You certainly better not do it on an airplane, right? You keep it to yourself. So you need to contain your feelings. It's an important skill, but it's not the end, you see? So people, I think, have taken the stiff upper lip, be cool. When I did a consult with the Army, who were looking ahead, what is the Army going to need by 2040 kind of thing. And they named me the feeling lady within half a day, right? Very un-Army-like. And then we were sitting at a conference, and one of the fellows said, well, I don't know about that E word, meaning emotions, not electronics. So emotions. And I said, well, what do you? He said, no, we do esprit de corps and stuff like that. And I said, well, esprit de corps is an E word. Because it means morale and connection to your unit, right? Which is key for battle, right? Yeah. So once I did that, everybody laughed, of course, and then they got it. And I explained, no, you don't start weeping in the middle of a combat. You got to kill people. That's what the armies are for. They're there to kill people and protect your country, supposedly, right? So then, but when you get back to the barracks of safety, out of harm's way, as they call it, that's the time to start thinking journaling. Because PTSD, I think, comes from way over too many things stored and not processed. But you can't process in combat. It's dangerous for everybody. So you have to be able to contain in order to do it when it's appropriate. But the sooner you can do it, the better.
Right. But you're right, though. There are circumstances where action is required. We have to act first. Like in an emergency, sometimes we can't do the thinking, feeling, judging part. No. We just act. The problem is that when I get angry, everything feels like an emergency. And I just act.
Right. And that's the bad judgment, guys, right?
Yeah.
They knew that was what they did.
Now I'm wondering about like the balance. Like how do we balance emotions? You talked about anger. There's also like the really good moments of feeling good, and which seems like it should be a good thing. And mostly is, but there's also kind of euphoria that can cause or even like drug addiction where we get a good feeling that's out of proportion. And do you have any ideas about how to balance these different emotions?
Yes, I think let me think. It's what you're talking about is the extremes of the emotions, right?
Yes.
So I think you have to contain initially, discharge them safely, which is why people often use the gym. Some people go for a run, big good swim, something like that, or they do something that calms them down. Some people cook when they're agitated, and whatever they do, needlework, all kinds of activities that people have learned over the years, soothe them, calm them down. So self-soothing is how do you do that from any kind of feeling? And that feeling good is not something to be pursued irrationally. Right, and people who fall in love, because they had a wonderful encounter, that can lead to all kinds of bad judgment. This may be a great date, this may be a great one-night stand, but this will not make the kind of husband or wife that you would like to have. So then, keeping perspective, keep it within the reality of what the relationship contains, and those are social skills. I remember one dream a woman had that she was sleeping with this guy and he turned into her ex, right? So she brought the dream into therapy, which is why I heard about it. And I said, well, what? She went, he's not at all like my ex. But I said, so what was the problem? Why is your ex your ex? Because when you marry somebody, you're in love and you think they're a good choice. And she said, because his career was so much more important to him than mine, that he wouldn't, when he got a wonderful offer to go abroad, he wouldn't even consider taking the offer. He had to stay in the States so I could continue with my career. It was his career. Just had to. He could not take the advantage of it. Right? It was more important than her. I said, okay, so this guy you just met, does he have a big career? Yep, he had a big career too. So I would say keep an eye on that if you're going to do a relationship, because this may be the same factor. And your unconscious picked it up on, the hot date where you really connected. And just keep an eye on it and see. So don't go all in at this point until you have the facts. And she told me about 4 months later, you were right. I said, not me. Your dream was
dream.
And her definition of her husband and why the thing failed was because he prioritized his career over everything. Over her.
That's so cool. Interesting. I mean, dreams are like prophets. They like let us know.
Yeah, you can't take them as literal, right? Because they weren't alike at all in a generic way, right? But the action that would affect her is because your dreams and your unconscious is about keeping you balanced, keeping you stable, and getting you through life safely and
Well, this is fabulous, Loma. I have another caller. It's Ellen. So why don't you say hello, Ellen? This is Ellen from Santa Cruz.
Yes. Hi, Catherine. Ellen.
Hi, Ellen. Thanks for calling.
Wow.
How are you doing today?
And I've heard you've had Professor Flowers on before.
I know. This is the first time.
Oh, really? I swear I've heard the name before. Maybe I came across it in a dream.
Maybe you did.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to be kind of brief, but I woke up partway through your program because I've been having to wake up really early and sitting for my daughter. And anyway, I woke up in my usual early time, and then I said, no, I'm going to go back to sleep. And I woke up after 10 with amazing dreams because I let myself sleep in. And the last 2 nights I've had amazing dreams here, and they always seem to do with me traveling in a foreign country, all kinds of alleyways and this and that, and it kind of looks like more like a third world, not a real industrial country. Fascinating, exciting, interesting. And I always find myself connecting with other people, talking to them. I saw a woman buying something in the store, and I'm like, oh yeah, what are you getting? And that looks good. And then I see this and the people were so hospitable. And I see that there's a family restaurant, or maybe it's somebody's family home. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go in there and have this curry. I look and it's so good. And someone else tells me in the dream, no, don't eat there. I was like, why? It's perfect.
Ellen, we only have a few minutes left with Dr. Flowers. Do you want to focus on one of the images of the dream?
Well, yeah. So despite all this, being in some country that's in urban setting, suddenly the end of the dream was the most beautiful thing. I don't know how it happened, but I'm transported to a tropical island. And it's like something I'd seen in a brochure. I'd seen in my dream, a brochure in my dream. I'd seen these people sunbathing on 5 dolphins that were carved into the hillside right next to the coast. And I'd seen in this brochure or somewhere, I'd seen an image of people sunbathing and laying and climbing on these dolphins. And so suddenly I'm in this tropical island, so beautiful, and this beautiful paved road, and everyone's riding bikes. I have this issue with a knee replacement, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect for riding bikes. It's so beautiful weather and this blue sky. And then I realized that I'm walking because I can't ride a bike. So that came into my dream kind of like a sad little, I'm in the most perfect paradise and I can't enjoy it to the extent I would like to. And then I noticed that, oh my gosh, I'm on the backside, and I went, oh, there's those dolphin hill, carved hill things. And, oh, wow, I came upon that thing, the image I'd seen, and it was just so beautiful. Then that's how I woke up.
Oh, what a lovely way to wake up. Do you have any comments on this, Loma, that you'd like to bring into the conversation? We just have a few minutes left.
Unfortunately, we don't have the time to look at it in the detail. But the dream has 2 phases. And what was your feeling overall in the first phase?
Oh, I'm always very curious, and even come upon like the same place I came earlier in the dream. I remember like
Just the feeling. Just the feeling. Can you give me just the feeling without the
The
details?
feeling
Because one
was
of the skills.
curiosity. I'm very adventuresome. I'm always loving those kind of dreams. So like, there's no fear.
The second part of the dream, you're clearly enchanted.
Yeah. I'm in bliss, and then I realize like that I have this serious messed up thing physically that's happened to me.
So the feelings again. So what this is a great example, Ellen.
Total bliss and happiness, but then also that feeling of hindrance that I can't enjoy it to the full extent.
So, Ellen, let's see what Loma has to say.
Okay. Can I just say that I appreciate this example because you're demonstrating how difficult it is for people to separate facts and feelings, right? And for the journaling and for the dream method, this is really important. That you just learn how to, these are the facts and these are the feelings. So I would say then you have pleasure in the first half with the adventuresome curiosity part of you, and you have pleasure and disappointment in the second half with the potentials of what you can do and the limitations.
Exactly. Perfectly stated.
So I would just on that alone, I would say, and you're experiencing both of them. They're both available to you. So I would say to use those feelings to start with, to look at your life and see, is there a way in which both of those things are operating in your current life? Now, what to do if you're going to do a dream interview, we don't have time for that. But I think if you write down afterwards, if you write the dream down yourself, and then see what you do, and then separate your facts and feelings in the dream. When we do dream diagramming, which is part of Gail's dream interview method, she has a number of books available, spelled Gayle, Delaney, standard spelling, that you might look up and get the method about how to do those various things. But I think doing a journaling on the dream about what the dream said and where the facts are, where the feelings are, how we stay alive under all the feelings. I think you would get
Thanks for calling, Ellen.
Thank you very much.
Maybe I'll see you this afternoon at Shanty Shack.
Trying to guess or yes, Rosebud. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye, Ellen. Thank you. So, Loma Flowers, catching your feelings, skills to direct the power of your emotions into constructive action. I'm so glad to have you on the show. Do you have like I think you did a really good job of just summing up the facts and feelings at the end there. Do you have any just last really short encouragements for our listeners?
Great. Well, thank you. It's been fun and nice to do the call-in.
All right. Take care, Loma.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. So thank you all for listening. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz. We are live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific at ksqd.org. The podcast is released on the Monday after the show. I am Katherine Bell. You can find out about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. Email me at katherine@ksqd.org. Follow Experiential Dreamwork and hashtag the Dream Journal on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I'd like to thank Rick Cluffel, engineer, music creator, audio editing by Suki Westling, phones by Eric Nelson, intro and outro pieces are both by Mood Science. And tomorrow morning when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.